So the topic of this panel is shaping the future of insurance with AI. And I think we have a pretty interesting panel, combination of people here on stage, from both insurtechs, traditional insurance companies, people working in between from a consultancy perspective, and of course from research. And so that's why I think to start the whole discussion, the main question that came into my mind was from a research perspective, in which areas would you potentially see, the highest opportunities for AI to be applied to?
So, my perspective, AI wouldn't operate in a vacuum, so it's conditioned based on the business environments. So rather than AI for insurance, it would arise from, it's more of a question of, there would be developments in AI, and you could pick and choose the ones which have the maximum value to your particular value chain. For instance, on the tech stack, there would be developments, say, in vision or in better neural networks, which would essentially lead to better solutions. From the data front, you have much more, the more the embedding of IoT technologies and sensors, that would lead to a better market segmentation. So the more fine-grained your market is, the better prices you could get. So the impact of using sensor fusion algorithms from that perspective of greater data sets, that would also lead to an impact. And the third is with how fine-grained you could get the sort of when you, for example, in the supply chain industries, in insurance for logistics and supply chain, if you essentially have audit trails, so taking lessons from either the blockchain or some certifiable audit trail, then you could also lead to impacts from that onto the insurance sector.
It's interesting because you're referring to a lot of technologies that are being used in the back office. At the same time, when I attend conferences, and I think you guys have probably the same experience, I see a lot of AI applications in the front office, but I don't see this in the aspect that you've just described. Is there any reason behind that?
Would you mind clarifying what you mean by front office?
Well, typically in insurance, the examples that come up very often is like chatbots and this type of stuff, which you've not referred to at all.
Thank you. So you make a good point. So essentially, the use of those front office technologies like chatbots, etc., is essentially to create a more seamless user experience. But if you think about it, if you put more and more intelligence in artificial intelligence, that should go away. Like if you sort of dent your car somewhere, you shouldn't have to open up your chatbot and say, I got into an accident. Your car would automatically know you got into an accident. It would essentially perform potentially a self-diagnostics operation, and or a message would pop up on your phone saying, hey, it looks like you got into an accident, because it knows how much you're decelerated based on the sensors on your phone. And then, so the limit of AI is not being able to see it. It should become so deeply embedded.
Okay, Max is already nodding, and obviously he agrees very much. But before coming to Max, I wanted to ask Silke. Silke, from a consultancy perspective, do you see any major differences in how AI is being used between, insurtechs, startup versus traditional type of insurance companies?
Yeah, I think there are lots of differences. I think first and foremost, culturally, insurtechs operate in a much more risk-friendly environment. They have a much more agile approach to new technologies. And then on the IT side, they have usually no legacy systems. They have data in good quality that they can use. And also on the ecosystem sides, usually they are much more connected with partnerships on all kinds of levels. So I think this is where we see a lot of, in these three key areas, where we see a lot of differences to traditional insurers and their approach to AI. But traditional insurers, recently, some of them open up their own insurtechs, put them in some sort of innovation garage, and try to leverage what comes out of there and integrate that into their offering.
And do you see any differences in the way how this AI is applied? I mean, is the one going more towards, I don't know, chatbots, and the other one more regarding operational efficiencies? Or would you say, well, that's pretty much...
I think insurtechs very much think about from the customer's perspective. So they're first and foremost think, okay, what are the challenges that we want to solve? What value do we want to bring to customers? And through which channels do we want to reach our customers? And they have a lot more insights that they can already leverage, because traditional insurers have not yet really started to really care about their customers. Sorry for that. In my view, but we're getting there. And I think there's a lot, I think, where insurers can embrace data much more, and learn about their clients, and offer the right product at the right time through the right channel to their clients.
Well, I think we need to give Patrick a chance, to counterattack. I mean, Patrick, working for Baloise, so a pretty large insurance company as well. They are using, obviously, AI in different types of areas. I don't know how much you are able to disclose, but we would be interested to see why and how is Baloise today using AI?
It's an interesting question. Baloise is a mid-size or smaller insurance, I have to say.
For us,
yeah, it is smaller, 9 billion of premium, so to give you a little bit the size. So we are much more flexible. Sometimes we are collaborating with startups, sometimes we want to use new technologies. I want to ask the audience one question before I start and react a little bit. We are sometimes in some magazines under the top 5 innovation insurance companies. What do you think, coming back to your question, where or in which departments we have AI already in place and it works? What do you think, in which departments or in processes, or do you have an idea, or say a number, how many AI processes we have or how many AI products we are using? What do you think? Can't do anything wrong. What do you think? How many of these things we have in place? No idea? Or where? 5? 0? 3? Who was the 0? Okay. You're right. Sorry to say. But we have also a startup in Berlin, it's called Friday. They're using AI at the moment. But we are experimenting only. So I'm really impressed with what you showed us. But to make a real life check, we are using AI nowhere. We're experimenting, we're doing POCs. We're looking for chatbots, we're doing behavioral pricing, we're using that. Again, is it from a customer perspective or to have more revenues and money? We're looking for an OPEX, operational excellence perspective. So omni, for example, is a great example to save costs. So it's easy to sell internally, but the real great new stuff is really difficult to sell, to build use cases. We fail with blockchain, too expensive. We fail with other projects because it's too expensive. So very often we're looking from the cost aspect, and this is totally different to a startup. I have some examples what we're doing in the asset management, for example. We're working together with a startup to make better projections for currency changes that could save us millions. It's a swarm intelligence. I'm not so deep in that project, but it's still a project and it's still in the first phase. So we do not really use anywhere in any department AI. That's the reality. And from an innovation and investor perspective, that's hard to say, but things will change in the future very fast, also for us. I totally agree with you.
So, yeah, well. But talking about insurtechs, Coya, I think, is probably one of the most known insurtech companies in Germany. Even though you're not live yet, which I think is interesting. So you're doing great PR stuff. So therefore, the question is, I'm not sure whether you're allowed or you can say anything, but what's your plan around AI? And what are your thoughts about the comments being made here on the panel?
Yeah, I can pretty much align with what Silke said. So when coming back how we set up Koya, it's very from a customer-centric position. Now, you say probably customer-centric is basically on the flag of every insurer. They say our pillars of the strategy, one is absolute customer centricity. But the question is it really today? When I see that, for example, in P&C, the average time of a claim in the same time a turtle could walk from here to Hamburg, I know it's not very customer friendly. No, but how we began it is really rethink the insurance business model from scratch, really from a customer-centric perspective. How should it look like? And not thinking about how could we improve it in certain areas, but how should it look like, and also moving more from just insuring the customer and paying him out to guiding him to risk prevention and letting him know when new risk arises, for example. That led us then to think about the whole value chain really from scratch and think about where could we utilize new technologies, where could we utilize data, and really where could we also rethink how the processes are done and just set up completely new. That then began also that we basically thought about implementing AI and data, how can it implement it in each step of the value chain. Of course, we don't have that today, but from the very beginning of Coya, we were building up the data science and an IT team very early on, so they were with us structuring how the whole business model is structured, how the processes are set up, and now we're building on that. So it comes really from the building of new products with predictive models, from segmenting the customers, the micro segmentation, for optimizing marketing and lead generation, trying to optimize the whole value chain there. But we're not yet there where we can say, yeah, we use it everywhere in the value chain yet. But the biggest challenge we had at the beginning, getting the capabilities right to implement it in the various areas, which then means have the backend ready to process the data, to have it very structured, to have a data model behind it, which allows us to do these changes. So that was then a big step we had to do first to get the capabilities then to really utilize AI and data science.
Now, guys, if we look a little bit beyond tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, and consider the fact that 90% of car accidents are made by humans, so it's human errors, and we say, well, autonomous car driving is going to come in the one way or the other. So in the long vision, it means that we won't have hardly any accidents. Now, when you go to different types of conferences, even in household, there's a couple of initiatives coming up where you would say, well, we're trying to prevent the accident happening as such. Like water, grower coming up with pretty innovative stuff. So I need to ask you the provocative question, is AI in the long run going to make insurance companies obsolete?
I wouldn't say so. I would say it helps them a lot. Because in the end, yes, you say the car is driving himself, but there will still be cases where there is an interaction or where there's still a human error. It might be, if you think about the future, it is, yeah, you have your car driving you from here to Kudam, and it's driving autonomously. But if you think about, okay, today I would like to drive my own, basically it could automatically adjust your plan, your insurance plan you have. If you then think about, okay, today I would like to take the nicer route because you want to see some sights, but the route is then to be expected more dangerous because there are more threats on the way, there's more traffic at the current time. It's everything you could analyze automatically.
So the nicer route is more dangerous, is this what you say?
Sorry?
The nicer route is more dangerous.
Yeah, maybe more people want to see the nice...
Or the nicer car is more dangerous, which is very common though.
Yeah.
So my take on that is basically there are two parts. One is the AI part of it. The potential exists to essentially micro-segment your market. So as he mentioned, if you are based on your driving pattern, based on which route you want to take, your insurance premiums might fluctuate on a day-by-day or a month-by-month basis. So the potential exists to sort of reduce the premiums on people who don't take as much risk and shift it onto the people who do. That's the potential. The reality on the business side is how much would different businesses or different companies be willing to pass on those savings to their customers, and that's a separate part of the equation. So what I would say is it would mean the end of insurance companies who are unwilling to face those new realities, and as in any other industry, it offers potentials for the ones who are willing to adapt.
So insurance companies for the exception, not for the rule, Patrick.
Yes, but I agree it is a huge issue we are discussing because we heard the number before, 1/3 of our portfolio is car insurance, so the premium volume. So we have to look very carefully what's going on in this sector, and yes, of course, and I agree with a person before, that the autonomous fleets will completely change the game. There's one huge insurance company, the Allianz or the others, who will insure these fleets, or it's BMW or you name it, who do it by themselves. So they don't need, you don't have a car, you are not the owner of a car in the future maybe, the ownership changes a lot. So that's why we are experimenting in different ways. We call it Horizon 2 and Horizon 3. We are looking for things that could be a new business for us as an insurance for our brand in 5 or 10 years. And there is a link mostly to insurance, but it is a small part. But maybe we are the provider of autonomous fleet, I don't know. But doing things in this direction, or prevention is a huge business in health, for example. That's interesting for us. So we shift our business from the traditional insurance. We did it since 150 years, much more to other businesses in the prevention part, and we have to reduce our costs. We have to use AI, new technology, and to shift resources and money to other businesses. May be completely independent from the insurance space.
So Silke, in this new world, whom is Accenture going to consult then?
I was just finishing a thought, maybe, if I may, on that point. I think maybe, doesn't it open up like new products or new customer base? Because liability changes in the terms of autonomous cars, and you could potentially do a product for the car manufacturers that are faced with like risk assessments of what could happen. So I think the buyer changes, the product needs to change because of AI and the related technologies to that.
That's what our product manager wanted to say to this point, exactly the same, but I disagree. I think we need new products, and we are good in changing the products, but it will not have the same amount of money on these new products. But this is my personal opinion. The product managers in our business will exactly have the same points you mentioned. Yes, it will change a little bit, but it will still exist. Insurance exists since a long time, so it will exist in 200 years also. I disagree a little bit. There is a shift driven by AI or new technologies in general.
Which is good anyhow. So to wrap up, in one word, what do you think is going to be the major impact that AI is going to create in insurance? One word.
Opportunity.
More one, and it's change of competencies.
Okay.
Revolution.
Wow.
Revolution.
Wow, two revolutionary statements. So thank you very much to the panel, and thank you very much.